Hey guys, Lee Martin here, and I'm back again with another edition of my Fab 5 NFL picks for Week 11. Last week we went 3-2 against the spread, but our Platinum play clicked yet again as the Cardinals covered the number against the Tampa Bay Bucks, like we knew they would. That brings our Platinum picks to 4-1 against the spread on the season, and I've got 5 more top Sunday selections for you right now. As always, guys, make sure to click the link in the description for my articles on these games. All right, let's get down to business, guys, as we will travel to the Sunshine State for our first of 5 this week. The Tampa Bay Bucks, coming off of a narrow win over the Cardinals, will welcome their NFC South rivals from New Orleans in Raymond James Stadium. The odds makers are dealing the Saints as pretty substantial road favorites after they were stunned by the Falcons last week at their Superdome of all places. Drew Brees threw early and often, connecting on 32 of 45 passes for 287 yards, but no touchdowns. As a matter of fact, the Saints didn't break the plane of the end zone at all, and their stunning 26-9 loss as double-digit home favorites. So, because of that poor performance, the public will no doubt be betting New Orleans, because the logic is that there's no way the Saints will follow a terrible performance with another one, right? Well, Drew Brees didn't look like Drew Brees last week, and the Saints will be strictly one-dimensional in their offense because their ground game won't get anywhere against the Bucs' top-ranked run-stop unit. Now, we know that Tampa has a lousy pass defense, but their passing offense is actually ranked higher than New Orleans. The question is, how healthy is Brees, and can he cover the 5.5-point spread? This looks to be a shootout, and with what I saw last week, I'll take the Bucs to at least cover, if not win this one outright. Now we take a look at a game in our second pick that won't have much appeal to anyone but Dolphins and Bills fans, as well as those like me, looking to make a few dollars on what should be a game short on offense, and long and boring. The Dolphins have now won 2 in a row after dropping their first 7 games of the season, but I'm betting that streak ends on Sunday. Despite the fact that Miami stunned the Colts 16-12 last week, don't think for a moment that this Dolphins defense suddenly got good. They're still allowing nearly 30 points per game, and although Buffalo's offense won't give any opponent a sleepless night, they're at least good enough to get the win and the cover. Look for a low-scoring, grind-it-out kind of night where the Bills win by a touchdown or more and cover a 6-point road chalk. Time to talk about Lamar Jackson and the spectacular resurgence of the Baltimore Ravens in our third pick of the week. There's no question Jackson is an MVP candidate this season, and the Ravens are killing it after knocking off the Patriots and then absolutely crushed the Bengals last week. But that just feeds the hype train, and the public eats it all up and asks for seconds. As a result, the line gets a bit out of whack, which is why we are turning the tables and backing the Houston Texans plus 4.5 at Intertops. Now, most of the books are only giving the visiting Texans 4 points, but as always, shop around and you'll always get a better number. In a nutshell, Houston has a pretty good quarterback themselves with Deshaun Watson, and he should be able to move around the pocket as he always does, and find targets downfield. Let's also not forget that the Texans are coming off of a bye and have had 2 weeks to prepare, while Baltimore has been reading their press clippings and might be looking ahead at a meeting with the Rams in LA next week. Watson has covered in 6 of the 7 games, in which his Texans were getting 3.5 points or better. This looks like a perfect spot for more of the same. Bet Houston plus 4.5. Let's get chalky as we move to our fourth of 5 picks this week. The Oakland Raiders are laying 10.5 points against the worst team in the NFL. Although Cincinnati does have more than a few rivals in that regard. But if we shop around, we can find a 10 at shops like Bookmaker and Just Bet. We will take advantage of that hook and bet the suddenly surging Raiders to put a beating on the Bengals in Oakland. Let's remember that the Raiders are in the hunt for a playoff spot, and this team is starting to believe that big things await. Oakland is 10-5 against the number over their last 15 games at home, and 3-1 against the spread this year. Derek Carr is getting excellent protection from the big boys in front, and he should rip his Bengals secondary to shreds. Meanwhile, the Cats can't score against anyone, so why would it be any different this Sunday? Lay the 10 and back the Raiders. All right, boys, our Platinum pick of the week, currently firing 4-1 against the spread in the season. Let's make it 5-1 as we take a walk over to Carolina for our top bet on Sunday's slate of games. Carolina will host Atlanta, and the Falcons are getting some love here after they stunned the Saints. But I think that was sort of a one-hit wonder. Matt Ryan doesn't have the greatest offensive line, and he will be dealing with a boatload of pressure from the Panthers this week. Now, we could expect Atlanta to run the ball and try to win the time of possession game as they did last week against the Saints, but Devonta Freeman is most likely out. And even though Carolina doesn't defend the run very well, that will likely have little effect because, even with Freeman, the Falcons don't have a devastating rushing attack. I suspect the Panthers offense will get good field position throughout the afternoon due to their defense that boasts a swarming pass rush that will likely see Ryan hurrying his throws and maybe forcing a few picks. Christian McCaffrey should have a great day, both running and receiving. So this should be a lopsided score in favor of the Panthers when the dust settles. Bet Carolina -5.5 and make yourself some money. Well, that's a wrap, guys, and if you want to read my Fab 5 Week 11 selections in print, then I invite you to check it out on the SBR Picks page. Oh, and if you want to see my video on the Monday night matchup between the Chiefs and the Chargers, you can take a look at that, as well as the accompanying article on the SBR Picks page. But before we go, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more premium picks and up-to-date betting info. As always, I appreciate you for watching. I'm Lee Martin, and may all your wagers be winners.